laptops.com. It's a satellite website we've set up to sort of show our partners how to target laptop fleets. But generally, even large enterprises and governments do not have solutions in place for laptops. So you may be able to win large backup contracts from government and enterprise that you would normally not have any chance of winning because you'd be going up against incumbent service providers and established vendors. Because the laptop fleets are generally underserved and is generally a pain point for most CIOs and CTOs, there's quite a large opportunity right now for selling online backup as a laptop fleet protection solution. And as a former CTO myself, I can tell you that that is one of the things that keeps you up at night, the amount of data that's sitting on the edge of the network on those laptops and is not being protected. Media, obviously with online backup there is no media, so you don't have any concerns or risks around losing tapes, which has been a massive security problem in corporate America over the last decade. Some of the largest security breaches in federal government here have been because of misplaced backup media. Recovery with tape and disk has been very difficult. Anybody who's had to rebuild a complete environment from tape knows that that can take days, weeks. With online backup, recovery is instantaneous, so you've got immediate real-time access to the data you need when you need it. So you've got a much more powerful recovery system, and a backup's useless if it's not imminently recoverable. One of the other great things about SOS is that you can actually push recovery down to the user. So the way you should deploy this with a customer, let's say you've got a small business with 20 employees. They're going to have some servers as well. You should install SOS on every single workstation and on the server. A lot of people make the mistake of only putting it on the server. But you then lose some of the most powerful features of the online backup system. And a big one is delegating recovery to users themselves. So because everybody's running the backup product on every machine, when they need to get files, they don't need to call IT. They don't need to punch a ticket. They can immediately get access to their data right from their desk. Security, typically hardware-based backup hardware-based backup solutions do not put much priority on security because it's usually on premises. Where that breaks down is usually media is then rotated off-site, so you do actually have a major security hole in your network. With online backup, generally you've got military-grade encryption being used. We use 3 layers of encryption at SOS. We use AES encryption, which is the standard promulgated by US Department of Defense, and we've got many government and military and banking customers, so you've generally got a much higher level of security. Access to data, you've got immediate access to data on the go, so using my iPhone app I can access all of my machines from the cloud, and I'll talk more about that in a few slides' time. And then skipping down to cost, online backup's just a lot cheaper, so you get all of this additional benefit, and it's still as much as 70% cheaper than hardware-based backup solutions. So you can see why there's such a massive migration to cloud-based backup solutions. It just is a fundamentally better backup at a fundamentally better price point. And yet it's still very profitable for you, the reseller. So what we're about at SOS is this last point. We really want to convert backup from being a pain point for you and a pain point for your customers and convert it into a revenue and a profit center for you. So just some quick market stats. One of the most common questions I get is, have I missed the boat? Is there really still an opportunity here? So just some rough numbers. The backup industry in total is a $10 billion industry between hardware, software, services, and then between enterprise, small business, and consumers. Industry pundits and experts debate this point, but the cloud-based backup market is going to grow to between $5 and $7 billion annually. Today it's at under $1 billion. So the online backup business is going to grow 500, 600% from where it is today. So there's still a lot of growth in the market. The fastest growing market segments are definitely consumer and small business. There's massive growth in both of those. Got some questions here on the line. Do we support white label service? Stephen, absolutely. That's fundamental to everything we do. So everything you see at SOS is white labelable. And you'll see some more examples of that later in the presentation. But every piece of software, every piece of marketing material, even webinars like these can all be white labeled and performed. So in the case of a webinar, that'd be done by our partner specialists for your customers in your name. Question here from Lancho. You mentioned geographic territories and exclusivity. Is there an option for a reseller to use European cloud data centers only? Yes, Lancho. We've got a data center in the United Kingdom, and depending on what level of partnership you're discussing, we can set up a data center for you. So we've set up where we have data centers already on our roadmap. We'll bring those forward. So we've got on our roadmap setting up a data center in Germany, for example. So as soon as we had a partner who needed that, we would pull the trigger on setting that up. We've got 11 data centers around the world, 5 in the United States, and then data centers in Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, India, and the Ukraine, Eastern Europe. So let's turn and look at the product itself. Oh, sorry, one more question here. Tommy asks, does SOS provide end-user support should my clients have issues, or is support for SOS something I would have to add to my support team? Tommy, it depends how comfortable you are letting your customers know it's SOS. Some partners of ours, even though we rebrand everything, but that can sometimes work against a partner. The most successful partners we have rebrand everything, market and sell it as an SOS product, and do basic level technical support for their customers, all white labeled. But if they need to do advanced support, then the partner just says, well, actually, our partner is SOS Online Backup, and they're going to provide you with support from here on out, at which point our support team parachutes in and fixes everything. That's the best way to work with our support organization, and hopefully that would meet your needs. So looking at the core SOS product, it's built around 4 key concepts: protecting data, accessing data, sharing data, and managing data. So protect is hardcore backup and recovery. Access is not something you'd think about, I think, a lot of times when you're thinking about a backup solution, but because we've backed up your data to the cloud, we've then built out a lot of functionality that allows you to access it and transform that data. So for example, sitting here with my iPhone, I can search I've got 5 computers connected to my account. So I can search my 5 computers and about 5 years worth of history from my iPhone in real time, which is an incredibly powerful tool. So the corporate data access that enables is quite amazing as the user. And then also sharing. So here from my iPhone, I can share files to any one of you just by, well, if I had your contact, I'd just tap your contact, but otherwise I'd have to type in your email address. But so sharing is about transforming that data in a way that business colleagues or friends and family can actually access and consume and make use of. So for example, photo albums. We can build photo albums through our system. And then lastly, manage. So if you're a reseller and you've got 200 customers and each customer deploys SOS on 20 PCs, how are you going to manage those 4,000 computers? You do that with our management framework, which is Pulse. And Pulse is built around backup policies, so you can remote control those 4,000 PCs. So Pulse is all about deployment control and reporting. Let's take just a brief tour of the core SOS product. Tommy asked what all is backed up. So Tommy, you can either set what you want to back up yourself, or you can use our search tool. Our search tool will scan your whole PC and find documents, pictures, music, and video. Or you can just select what it is that you need to back up explicitly. So we always replicate your data to at least 2 different data centers, another thing that none of our competitors do. Because we've got 11 data centers around the world, we can do that. Most of our competitors just have 1 data center. John's asking if we're compliant for financial and health customers, HIPAA and SARBOX. Absolutely, John. I will talk about this in a few more slides' time, but compliance backup is one of our biggest markets and one of the biggest markets for our customers. The 2 hottest sectors that our partners sell into are healthcare because of the HIPAA regulations, and anybody who has to be SARBOX or PCI compliant with backing up their data. Okay, so I think, yeah, all of these are covered in the next few slides. So I'm not going to discuss every single one of these. I really recommend you go to our website and click on the Features tab to get a drill down, but I'll talk about my favorite features. Continuous data protection. So built into the product is an automated CDP module. Why do I highlight that? Highlight it for 2 reasons. Firstly, in business software, typically CDP runs at about $1,000 a seat. So if you're using, say, Symantec Backup Exec and you want to add CDP, I don't know what the current day pricing is, but it certainly is hundreds of dollars, if not as much as $1,000. SOS has just got CDP built right in. Now, some people also say, well, oh, what about Mozy? Mozy backs up continuously. And that's different. What Mozy does is runs every 5 minutes and basically sucks down all resources on your computer as it's constantly working. Whereas with SOS CDP module, it just uses a file system watchdog to track changes on just the files that you want protected, and then it only backs up their change data set. So it's an extremely efficient and fast way to watch files and back them up immediately upon changing. We used to say save a file, we'll back it up to 6 data centers within 6 seconds. We now use 2 data centers instead of 6. Unlimited computers, this next one, this is also very important. If you're using Mozy, you'll know that it costs $3.95 a month to install it on a PC. So if you have 100 machines, that's $400 a month before you're actually backing up any data. So it's just a straight out license fee, or $5,000 a year. With SOS, there are no license fees, so you can install the software on as many PCs as you like. What we promote ourselves and have found a lot of success through our partners is promoting 5 PC bundles, so selling it to your customers as a 5 PC bundle. Global roaming access and access on iPhone I've already talked about, but it refers to the very powerful ability to get at your access in real time from anywhere, from any device. Free integrated local backup, it's a fully functioning local backup app, so you can continue to do full local backups to tape or disk or network locations, as well as backing up the most important data to the cloud. Security and privacy, I've already mentioned that we've got 3 separate layers of encryption on your data. Compression and transfer, when we run a backup, we do what we call a 2-level delta. First, we determine which files have actually changed from backup 1 to backup 2, and we just work with those. And secondly, within the files that have changed, we just extract the 1s and 0s that have been modified. So we extract a binary delta patch file and send that to the cloud. What all of that means in layman's terms is that the daily backup will take minutes. The first backup can take days or weeks, but the daily backup will only take minutes. Our file filtering system, you can include or exclude any types of content that you want. Physical media upload, you can send the data to us on a hard disk drive if you want us to upload it for you, and that can save you a lot of time when it comes to uploading data. Our recovery system, before I talk about that, I'm going to talk about unlimited versioning. A big point of differentiation with us is we keep every single file version at no cost. So if you have a file that changes every day for a year, we'll store 365 versions. Competition stores 14 or 30, so depending upon who you're talking about. We keep an unlimited history, so we've got some customers who have 7 years of file versions in our system. Now couple that with our recovery module, which is timeline-based, and you've got a very powerful timeline-based snapshotting system, so you can roll back your system to show you what your data looks like at any given point in time, even if the amount of data or the type of data that is being recovered has changed over that period.